Hey there, check out this amazingly gorgeous scene of fresh snowfall here in Jasper National Park, Canada. Quite a sight. Just started snowing last night. Not the first snowfall of the winter. It is early November here, and it also snowed like 2 weeks ago and then all melted off. And it's supposed to be pretty cold for the next number of days, so we'll see if this stays for a while or it warms up. So this video is titled, "The Spiritual Path is Not an Intellectual Exercise." And this is a very important point, I think, that for those who are genuinely interested in soul evolution, the spiritual path, spiritual growth, changing one's consciousness, and certainly these days, you know, there's so much talk of spirituality and you know, New Age concepts and you know, people talking about their spiritual awakenings and you know, people could get to the point of, you know, I'm tired of it. I'm sick of spirituality. Like, what the hell? Just live your life and enjoy it and have fun and you know, people are just over talking this subject. And I understand, but I disagree, because that's what it's all about. We are souls, so we're on a spiritual path, whether you recognize it or not, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just all a hard physical world of matter, and our consciousness is simply a byproduct of our brain activity, the, you know, scientific view. And when we die, then that's it. It's over, done. You're out of here. You're finished. Nothing after that. But I have traveled out of the body. I've experienced the astral state. I have experienced my soul slipping out of my body and hovering around the room. And, you know, that is a state of being that is so completely different from a dream. And I have had a variety of other experiences such that I believe very much so that we are first and foremost a consciousness, a soul, a non-physical thing, and that we are temporarily inhabiting this physical body. We are a spiritual being having a human experience, and we will journey on from here, and there will be something else. And while we're here, then we have an opportunity to shift our consciousness, to evolve ourselves, to change our state of being, the non-physical thing that we truly are beyond our body. And this can make a tremendous difference in the future of our being, not just after we die. It's not all about, you know, I'm here to work hard and you know, even if I have to suffer through it and you know, deny the world and deny myself so that I can go to heaven after here, or, you know, so that I can have a better life in some spirit realm or whatever. It isn't just about that. It's also about that you can change your state of being in the here now, in this life, in this lifetime, for the you know, however many more years or decades or whatever you're around. You can shift your state of being so that you are enjoying this physical realm, your human self in this body, much more, and have a expanded perspective on yourself and on the world and other people, and you can, you know, very much change yourself and your perception and experience of reality and the world. And so it is not just something to do for the sake of after we pass on from here. So, getting back to the title of this video, the spiritual path is not an intellectual exercise. And this is a very important thing to understand, is that it is not about watching YouTube videos reading books, going to lectures, and that is, you know, that is going to result in transforming your reality, evolving your soul, changing who you are, and leading to greater happiness. I'm all for all that stuff. I've done all that stuff, but this is working with the mind, and the mind is incredibly powerful and is absolutely part of the process. But the mind is only part of our being, is only one aspect of our consciousness, and the real problem, to a great extent, lies in other parts of our being. The mind is, you know, as we experience our conscious mind, is to a great extent a tool for our navigating the third dimensional realm as a human being, and dealing with and taking care of the things we have to deal with and take care of in the course of our life, getting to our job and doing our job well and not getting fired, and you know, getting our food and our clothing and our shelter, and having a place in society, and finding a partner, and planning our future, and all this kind of stuff. But that is only one element of our being. And so we can get through life that way, and that's what most people are doing, is operating at the same level that our current human societies are at, because that is kind of a you know, we're kind of forced into that state of constriction, which is really a limited element of our true potential of consciousness. We basically have to constrict and limit ourselves in order to you know, grow up in this society and become a acceptable member of society, and do what we got to do, and not be an outcast and ridiculed and whatever. And then at some point in our lives, then we may come to that realization that something feels off, that we don't feel truly free in ourselves in some way that we can't really you know, get a handle on or put into words or whatever, but just we feel constricted. We don't feel as free, as happy, as fulfilled as we would like to be, and something's wrong, and so we need to make some kind of a change and figure out what's going on, and so that is basically, you know, getting on the spiritual path of seeking something more, something greater within, and trying to figure out how can we make changes both in our inner self and then ultimately in the outer world in some way as well, so that we are living a life that feels more satisfying to us, that feels more free and open, and more natural, and more in the flow of the truth of our being. And so this requires diving deeper into consciousness, into ourselves, than just working with mental concepts and the intellectual mind, and coming to a proper understanding of reality, and of ourselves, and of God, and a intellectual understanding of the metaphysical world. That's interesting. That's you know, can be part of the process, but that is not real spiritual growth. That's working with the mind, working at that surface level of consciousness. But there is much more below the surface of our conscious mind, and so it takes effort, in my view, to access those other parts of our being. You can't just watch videos and read books and go to workshops and you know, hear speakers and stuff like this. If you're genuinely serious about making some real leaps and bounds, then you got to get outside the box. You got to, push yourself beyond your limits and take a chance at getting yourself in some situations that challenge you, that cause you to face your fears, that bring up more stuff from the subconscious mind, experiences and situations and whatnot that cause you to get in touch with these other aspects of the self. And so my path over the past 25 years, just to kind of put something concrete, something real to this, to understand what I'm talking about. What does that mean? What do you do? 25 years ago, in the spring of 1989, when I was a senior in high school, then my spiritual path really began, in that I started meditating. I started going on hikes on a bike path this was in Oakland, California, up in the Oakland Hills where I was living at the time, and I started going on these just like daily walks, just trying to get myself, find some peace of mind and whatnot, because a couple of years before that, then I'd been, a little bit of a wild teenager and partying and doing drugs and everything, and just, needed to, I stopped doing drugs completely, stopped smoking, and started getting more clear within myself. And so that was just, the very, very beginning of a long journey of the past 25 years. And there's so much to talk about from what happened, what happened over the course of that, because I've been quite the traveler, and so that led into reading spiritual books, Carlos Castaneda, Robert Monroe, Kriyananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, eventually the Pleiadian material, etc. And I experienced the astral traveling state from reading Robert A. Monroe's book, Journeys Out of the Body, and that's how I ended up experiencing an out-of-body experience. I started fasting, doing fasts of up to 5 days, or later did up to 7 days. And fasting is a very intense way to really face yourself and bring up subconscious fears and get in touch with some other aspects of oneself, and just take a break from the routine of eating 3 times a day, and how that is such a integral part of our day, obviously, and to take that away, strip that away, and then you can start stripping away parts of yourself as a result of taking away food and all that brings up in terms of feeling some Canada geese, it sounds like. Can't see them, but I can hear them there. And I was also experimenting with, I was smoking marijuana. This was a few years later, and I started smoking marijuana from a spiritual perspective, or for a spiritual experience. And I would go out to these hot springs outside of Eugene, Oregon, where I was later living, and just get incredibly stoned and lie naked in these hot springs and just explore my mind and my consciousness, just totally trip out, and coming to realizations in the course of that, of the nature of my consciousness and what was really going on deeper within me. I was I went on a road trip out into eastern Oregon and went hiking out in the desert. I was doing backpacking trips. I then lived in the rainforest of Hawaii for several months, living on a beach, and then did my travels around the world, and did various workshops, inner child workshop, Buddhist workshops, and so the point I'm getting here is just that, and I had a regular yoga practice going at that time when I was in Eugene, which really that was at the pretty much the early, a few years after I was started meditating in high school, but still that was relatively at the beginning of my spiritual path, right after I'd started reading all these spiritual books and everything. And so the point is that if one is genuinely interested in exploring one's consciousness, the nature of one's consciousness, the potential of one's consciousness, and this is a path that has no end. There is no final state of enlightenment, as I understand it, but you can open up within yourself states of being and perceptions of reality such that life becomes a mystery, rather than being bored with life and frustrated and feeling as if you have no meaning and feeling constricted and not knowing what your purpose is and everything. I mean, I'm not in some sort of a state of constant eternal bliss or anything, but I have very much shifted my consciousness in major ways, I feel, in the course of this path, such that I have opened up much greater possibilities for myself and have experienced states of being of real deep bliss and contentment, and then that, you carry that with you. That you don't take nothing with you but your soul. When you change and evolve your soul, then that's not just for life. That's even beyond life. Hi there. And so, it is worth it. It is a worthy endeavor, a worthy path, a worthy quest, because this is the ultimate purpose of our being, not just of our life, of our soul's journey, to make our soul evolution not the only, but the primary purpose of our life. And to focus within to the extent that you start to shift your focus and your purpose of being towards one of how can I explore the true potential of my being, basically understanding that the path is limitless, that there isn't going to be an end to it, but we can just muddle along, in the ditch that we're in, and just get by. But that isn't really living. That isn't really being alive. That's just getting through life. But through making, if that's the state we're in, and we don't want to be in that state of being, we can shift that, and we can embark on a journey in which life and existence becomes a tremendous mystery and adventure and journey of what's next, how what can I experience next, how can I change my reality, how can I change my relationships through changing myself, how can I make a more positive impact on the world by changing myself and my direction and how I'm impacting the world around me and the people around me. And our world is in a world of hurt to a great extent. There is so much pain and suffering, and it is all about It is all about the condition of people's souls. That's what it's all about. There's no reason that this couldn't be a planet of just pure fun and joy and bliss and adventure and excitement and everyone getting along in peace and love and all is well. This is a beautiful planet with an abundance of resources, with so many possibilities open and available to us, and it doesn't have to be a world of hurt and pain as it is to a great extent for a vast number of people, of poverty and disease and crime and corruption and wars and all this stuff. It doesn't have to be that way. That is purely a reflection of the human spirit. That's what it is about. And so that is why changing one's being, one's state of being, is important. It is not just for fun. It is not just a hobby. It is not a selfish pursuit. It is what can truly change the world, one person at a time. And so, wrapping things up here, getting back to the title. This does not happen from a place of pure intellectual exploration and understanding and just shifting the thoughts in the mind. This must mean getting in touch with the deeper aspects of ourself, because those are parts of ourself, of our being, and true spiritual growth and evolution and balance and true spiritual healing must require unity. And that means unifying with all aspects of the self. And so that's why the mind, the intellect, is not all that we are. And so that is why one must seek to get beyond the mind, outside of the mind, not neglecting the mind, not denying the mind, but traveling beyond just the mind, journeying into these other deeper layers of our being in order to bring them into the light of our conscious mind, in order to bring the subconscious more into the consciousness, in order to awaken the shadows of our being and bring them to light. So there we go. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this pretty scene here. Have an awesome day.